In 1897, an extraordinarily peculiar trial unfolded in Greenbrier County, West Virginia, USA, revolving around Erasmus Shue, a local blacksmith accused of murdering his 21-year-old pregnant wife, Elva. What made this case truly remarkable was the outcome. Shue was sentenced to life imprisonment, largely influenced by the spectral testimony attributed to the deceased. The critical turning point leading to the perpetrator's life sentence was a statement by the victim's mother, Mary Jane Hister. She claimed her daughter's ghost had manifested before her on 4 occasions, revealing intricate details about her own murder. This extraordinary story begins on February 22, 1897, when the lifeless body of Elva Hister was discovered near her home. A young boy stumbled upon the grim scene and promptly reported it to his mother, which led the local physician, George W. Knapp, to become involved. Upon Dr. Knapp's arrival for his examination, he found Elva's lifeless body on her bed in her bedroom. Her husband had already washed and dressed her, covering her head with a shawl. He argued that her expression was not very dignified, suggesting she might not have wanted to be seen that way. Due to Erasmus Shue's prominent and respected status in the community, Dr. Knapp conducted only a cursory examination of Elva's remains, leaving the head shroud in place. He concluded that her death was due to complications related to pregnancy. At her funeral, another mysterious detail emerged, a long scarf that her husband had chosen to adorn the deceased. Erasmus claimed it was one of the items Elva Hister had specifically requested for her burial attire. On February 24, 1897, she was laid to rest in the local cemetery, now known as Saul Chapel Methodist Cemetery. This might seem like the end of the story, but in reality, it was just the beginning. In the following weeks, Mary Jane Hister, the mother of the departed, experienced 4 otherworldly encounters with her daughter's spirit. Each time, the ghost appeared by Mrs. Hister's bedside, delivering a spine-chilling revelation. Elva hadn't died of natural causes, but had met her end at the hands of her husband, who had strangled her. Upon receiving this shocking revelation, Mrs. Mary Jane Hister wasted no time in seeking the counsel of John Preston, the prosecutor for Greenbrier County. Armed with this new information, Preston made the decision to reopen the case. As the investigation unfolded, the prosecutor uncovered several intriguing details. Among them was the fact that Erasmus Shue, a 30-year-old blacksmith, had been married twice before. His first wife had left him, alleging spousal abuse, while his second wife had tragically passed away only a year into their marriage. Significantly, the second wife had also died under mysterious and sudden circumstances. Prosecutor Preston subsequently conducted an inquiry with the local physician, George W. Knapp. Dr. Knapp admitted that he had not conducted a thorough examination of Elva's remains. This revelation prompted the prosecutor to order the exhumation of the body and the performance of an autopsy. The coroner's report, notably authored by Dr. Knapp himself, left no room for doubt. The young woman's cause of death was unmistakably determined to be strangulation. The examination revealed marks on her neck that closely resembled those described in the ghostly visitation recounted by Mary Jane Hister during her encounter with the spirit. As detailed in the coroner's report, published on March 9, 1897, Zoma Hister Shue had tragically fallen victim to murder, as her neck exhibited the unmistakable signs of such a heinous act. Erasmus Shue found himself swiftly apprehended and charged with his wife's murder. He was promptly transported to the Lewisburg jail to await the commencement of his trial. During his incarceration, Shue imprudently divulged his intentions to marry 7 women and expressed unwavering confidence in his eventual release, citing the lack of evidence against him. The trial began on June 22, 1897, with Mary Jane Hister, the mother of the victim, serving as the primary witness for Prosecutor Preston. Wisely, Preston refrained from delving into the subject of the ghost's appearance, and focused his questioning on the established facts of the case. On the other hand, the defense attorney attempted to cast doubt on Mrs. Hister's credibility by probing her about her daughter's ghostly visitations during cross-examination. However, this strategy backfired as Mrs. Hister remained unwavering in her narrative and didn't falter in her testimony, even in the face of the defense attorney's crafty questioning. Upon the conclusion of the trial, the judge faced challenges in instructing the jury to disregard the ghostly account. Many members of the Greenbrier community appeared inclined to believe Mrs. Hister's version of events, and the ghost story continued to influence their opinions. Erasmus Shue was convicted of his wife's murder on July 11, 1897, and received a life sentence. Contemporary reports indicate that the ghost of Greenbrier was never officially mentioned by the prosecution and did not play a decisive role in Shue's case. However, it is also noted that after the trial, an angry mob had plans to forcibly remove the murderer from jail and carry out a lynching. Fortunately, the sheriff and his deputy successfully dispersed the mob before any harm was done. Erasmus Shue passed away 3 years later, on March 13, 1900, while incarcerated in the West Virginia State Penitentiary at Moundsville, succumbing to an undisclosed illness. He was laid to rest in an unmarked grave in a local cemetery.